Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Wednesday evening, February 26, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you guys utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because you know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below, let me know what the that's been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused right here on the timestamp at the top as we go out to the next 168 hours. That's the next 7 days. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens that represents inches of rainfall. So as we head into Thursday morning, what do we see? We definitely see some amount of moisture surrounding the island. We see the greens right there. And then by the end of the day on Thursday, we see the greens across sections of eastern, central, and western parishes. That's what we've been seeing for the past couple of days on both the Euro and the GFS models. It's mainly afternoon rainfall for sure. Friday morning rainfall dancing around the island, especially across northern and eastern parishes. Then by Friday afternoon, we see that rainfall engulfing the island in general, the entire island from east to west. Saturday morning, not seeing much rainfall across the island, but Saturday afternoon definitely soaking wet according to this latest Euro model run. Sunday morning, not seeing much of anything across the island, but clearly by the end of the day on Sunday, central and western Jamaica getting some amount of rainfall. Monday, maybe some isolated shores across sections of some northern parishes. But by the end of the day on Monday, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. Tuesday, not seeing much in the morning, but in the afternoon, look at the rainfall, eastern, central, and western parishes. And we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for Wednesday, March 5. Not seeing much of anything at this time because it's showing Wednesday morning. We see the rainfall dancing. So who knows, maybe by the end of the day on Wednesday, we might get some afternoon rainfall, but we're just not seeing it here at this 168 hour mark. Let us match what we just saw on the latest Euro to the latest GFS. Let's see if we have agreement on both models. So heading into Thursday morning, we see the rainfall dancing around the island, the waters to the north and south of us for sure. Then by afternoon, we see the rainfall across sections of some northern and western parishes. Friday morning, what do we see? Not much on land, but across the western end and the waters to the north of us, that's where the rainfall is located. By the end of the day on Friday, we see some isolated shores across sections of some central and western parishes. Saturday morning, some isolated shores around the island surrounding us. Then by afternoon on Saturday, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. Sunday morning, not much of anything across the island, but by the end of the day on Sunday, rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes once again. On Monday morning, some isolated shores surrounding the island. Then by the end of the day on Monday, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. Tuesday, what do we see? Something similar to Monday, rainfall around the island, especially off the east coast. Then by the end of the day on Tuesday, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. And then we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is also valid for Wednesday, March 5. And do we see any similarities, any differences? Well, yes, we definitely see some similarities in terms of the fact that we're going to be having some rainfall to the north and east of us. But clearly, the GFS has more rainfall across portions of the southern Bahamas, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico right there. The Euro, not so much. Either way, in terms of the total accumulated precipitation forecast for the next 7 days, both maps here from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until Wednesday, March 5. And we can clearly see the burgundies into the purples and the pinks. That represents anywhere from 2 to 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. And we can clearly see that over the next 7 days, the most rainfall is going to be across section of southern Venezuela, western Venezuela, Colombia, and eastern Panama right there. That's where the most rainfall could be. That's where some residents could get some isolated flash flooding, if not some landslides, while other areas are going to be shaded in the greens into the yellows that we can see from the camera right. That represents anywhere from 0.2 of an inch of rainfall all the way up to 0.4 of an inch of rainfall. And the oranges into the reds, that represents anywhere from 0.5 of an inch of rainfall all the way up to 1, maybe close to 2 inches of rainfall right there. And we can clearly see that in store for areas such as Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, southern Belize, sections of Jamaica, sections of eastern and northern Cuba, the Bahamas, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago. And we can clearly see that it's not only the Euro model that's showing this, but even the GFS showing this over the next 7 days. And we know that it's not going to be rainfall all at once. It's just going to be spread out over the next 7 days. So I'm pretty sure that the residents who are going to be receiving the rainfall are going to be grateful, especially considering that it's the dry season. But if we take a closer look at Jamaica's total accumulated precipitation forecast for the next 7 days, the Euro still showing the most rainfall across the eastern end to the western end, as represented by the greens. That represents anywhere from 15 to 30 millimeters of rainfall. We see some yellows in there. That represents anywhere from 30, maybe all the way up to 40 millimeters of rainfall. The GFS a bit more reserved, only showing the dark blues into the greens. That represents anywhere from 5 millimeters all the way up to maybe 25. We'll see exactly what unfolds, and whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted on our other social media platforms. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we have ridges of high pressure to the north that we know are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region through the Caribbean. We have that frontal system right here, stretching all the way from northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down into the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, across the western Caribbean into Jamaica, Central America right there. And we see another trough right here, extending all the way into portion of the northern Bahamas and Florida. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can make out these entities. First of all, we can make out the clouds associated with the trough. Definitely a bit faint, but it's somewhere in there. We can make out the clouds associated with the frontal system extending all the way down into portions of Central America as we speak. And we can see the low to mid-level flow of the winds and the clouds being steered from east to west, all courtesy of the ridges of high pressure to the north. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Wednesday, February 26, 2025. It was stated that rainfall was in the forecast for parts of eastern, central, and western Jamaica on Wednesday afternoon. And we know eastern Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. And what ended up happening? At around 4:15 p.m., the visible satellite images were posted not only here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but they were posted on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we can see the clouds right here, extending all the way from the eastern end to the western end. More so inland areas of some eastern parishes like northern St. Thomas, section of southern Portland, sections of northern St. Andrew, northern St. Catherine, northern Clarendon, southern St. Anne, sections of southern Trelawney, northern Manchester, sections of northern St. Elizabeth, southern St. James, sections of Hanover and Westmoreland getting in on action. And we can even make out some sparkling yellow dots in there that will represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes for sure. And if we take a look back at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before we lost the sunlight, we can see those clouds building even more. And we even had the cumulonimbus clouds. That's the high cold cloud tops being sheared off towards the northeast to show that we're definitely getting on some amount of convection across sections of Trelawney, Manchester, and even St. Elizabeth for sure. And we can see that even better on the infrared close-up satellite images, showing those high cold cloud tops as represented by the blues into the greens and the yellows. And we even see the sparkling white dots that represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes, across sections of southern St. Elizabeth, Manchester, and even portions of northern Clarendon, southern St. Anne right there. Definitely experiencing some thunderstorm activity as we speak. And if we take a look at what happened here today, according to the Flatbridge cam from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, around 2:16 p.m. it was seen that we're definitely getting in on some sunny weather for sure, dry conditions as we can see here. And if you'd like to see more live streams like this, you can visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. You can even see the real Kobe right here chilling. If we take a look at some of the comments that came in though, confirming what the weather was like today, we have Jamaican _ Queen 587 stating overcast. We also have Ainsley 47 stating good rain, even lightning in Manchester. Thank you for confirming that. We also have on our Facebook page Shawnee Reynolds posting 2 hours ago stating had some heavy showers in St. Andrew. Marcia Thompson stating raining in Mandeville. Jeannie RJ nothing in Porty. Thanks for confirming. And finally on our Twitter page we had Braille Patton stating rain in Mandeville. Alright, so let us reload the latest still image from the Weather Nerds website. Let's see what's happening right now. And the latest still image is showing 0005 UTC, which is actually 7:05 p.m. So this just came out 9 minutes ago, considering that it's 7:14 p.m. now. And we still have those high cloud tops being sheared off to the northeast by that upper level wind shear. We also still have some thunderstorm activity as represented by the sparkling white dot across sections of northern Clarendon, spilling into sections of Manchester, southern St. Anne right there. Definitely getting on some wet conditions this evening for sure. What's the weather like in your area as we speak? Not seeing much of anything across the east. Not seeing much of anything across the west. Seems like right smack dab in the middle of Jamaica is where the rainfall is being experienced as we speak. But that could change. Maybe it might push off to the west. Maybe it might push off to the east. We'll see exactly what unfolds as the evening progresses into the night. Unfortunately, we don't have the Cuban Doppler radar imagery to confirm what we're seeing on the infrared, but we know that there's definitely rainfall. If we have these clouds, there's definitely rainfall underneath, not to mention the sparkling white that's confirming. The Guantanamo Bay Cuban Naval Radar imagery right here, showing some rainfall across eastern Cuba, the western peninsula of Haiti. Can't see much of anything across central Jamaica, unfortunately. And the Cayman radar still down for maintenance. Hopefully they get that sorted out soon. But if we take a look at what's happening right now, according to See Jamaica's YouTube channel, we're looking at the crossroads cam right here in St. Andrew, and we can clearly see people walking about, going about their business, people in their vehicles going about their business. Definitely dry as we speak. Nothing compared to what we had yesterday in terms of the rainfall. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see we have 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Thursday, temperature should dip down to about 23 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 22 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18th on Thursday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Thursday, and we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some slight orange colors. that we know represent at least up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures, as you can see here from the key on the right. And we know the normal temperature for the month of February across Jamaica is around 86.4 degrees Fahrenheit. And when that's converted to degrees Celsius, that's around 30.1 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30.1 to 32.1 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Thursday. And unfortunately, we have numerous maintenance outage advisories here from MyJPS Online's Twitter page. And we know that we have to highlight these because when we have these outages, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Thursday, February 27, 2025. And we're referring to a section of West Harborview, Real Avenue, Dorado, Sargasso, and environs, entire East Harborview, St. Benedict's Heights, 7 Mile, Shooters Hill, from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., all in the parish of St. Andrew. We're also talking about Planters Road in St. Catherine from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Fairfield as well as Irwin in St. James from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., Dykes Hill to Coffee Piece in Manchester from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Easington to Landui in St. Thomas from 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., Shrewsbury Housing Scheme as well as Sheffield Old Road or Dawes Lane in Westmoreland from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Battleside Housing Development in St. Mary from 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., Lime Tree Garden in St. Anne from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., Silver Creek as well as Cardiff Hall Great House in St. Anne as well from 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., as well as Donwell Road in St. Andrew from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Hamilton Drive in St. Andrew from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Either way, if tomorrow is going to be a bit too hot for you, we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, dress down, wear lightweight clothing and use sunscreen. Check on others including children, elderly people with medical conditions and pets. Be cool, stay indoors and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. And I cannot stress enough the importance of drinking lots of water throughout the day. And put away those sugar drinks as usual and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. And we can see that there is an abundance of dry air across the entire Atlantic basin. The most dry air is right here off the coast of Africa, where we have these reds and whites within those reds. We see an abundance of dry air across the waters to the east of the US, across the Gulf as well. Well, we see the low end of the scale in terms of dry air across portions of the waters to the north of Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, sections of the central to the southwestern Caribbean, which explains why it's been so wet recently, especially considering that we have a frontal system passing through. It explains why it's so moist, and it should continue being moist as we head throughout the rest of the week. That's what we like to see. We like to see the low end of the dry air, as you can see from the scale on the bottom. And we can see a lot of moisture across the eastern Pacific, as well as across the intertropical convergence zone, right there to the east of Brazil and to the southwest of the West African coastline. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Thursday, we can clearly see all the browns right here that represent the Saharan dust. Basically the low end of the scale though in terms of Saharan dust, extending from the main development region into portion of the eastern Caribbean and northeastern South America. We're also glad that we're not seeing much of anything across the Bahamas, North America, Central America, the western and central Caribbean, northwestern South America. And we're also glad that we're not seeing that vigorous plume of dust. We know that the vigorous plume of dust is represented by the dark shades of browns, and we know that can cause very hazy skies, not to mention trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses in some persons. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we know that the waves are represented by the light shades of blues to dark shades of blues that we know means 0.5 for meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 meter wave height, while the purples into the pinks represent anywhere from 2 to 3 meter wave height. We can see some of that to the north of Colombia, we can see some of that to the east of the Eastern Caribbean across the main development region. But to the north of Jamaica, 0.9 of a meter wave height, south coast 1.2 meter wave heights, and that's because of the winds that are expected. We see the dull greens into portions of the Gulf as well as the Western Caribbean, the bright greens into the yellows. That represents anywhere from 20 to 25 knots across the central to the Eastern Caribbean, especially right here to the north of Colombia, which explains why the waves are so high over there. We can clearly see the flow of the wind coming in from the east for the most part. And if we take a closer look at Jamaica regarding our winds that are expected, we see a mostly easterly flow tomorrow for sure. That's what we see, averaging around, let's say, about 10 knots on the north coast, 12 knots on the south coast. And we see that the air is going to be piling up across inland areas of some central and western parishes, so we could get in on some isolated showers for sure in the afternoon, all of that air piling up, and with the upper level winds coming in more so from, it looks like west southwest, if not from the west. If we get some convection tomorrow, we might just have a repeat of what we had happen today. Maybe some of these high cold cloud tops not being sheared off to the northeast, but maybe being sheared off towards the east instead. We'll see it actually goes if we actually have some convection tomorrow as well. Either way, in terms of the rainfall forecast, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing 3 a.m. on Thursday, so in the early morning, late tonight into tomorrow. Look at what we're seeing. We see the blues represent rainfall across the waters to the north of us, across the waters to the south of us, and we see some of that across eastern parishes, maybe far eastern Portland, far eastern St. Thomas. A very interesting forecast. We'll see how it actually goes by that time. Either way, by around 3 p.m. now, this is what we're seeing. The Euro showing blues represent rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. The GFS is more adamant that it's going to be across eastern, northern, and western parishes. We'll see how it actually goes. Either way, both accumulated precipitation forecast maps are showing that it's going to rain somewhere in Jamaica within the next 24 hours. The Euro a bit more robust than the GFS. Euro going all the way up to 0.4 of an inch of rainfall in the yellows. The GFS going all the way up to at least 0.26 of an inch of rainfall. Whatever happens, we'll definitely take it because we're in the month of February. We're in our dry season. And in Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive up to 19 millimeters of rainfall for the month of February. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive up to 2.9 inches of rainfall for the month of February. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives for the month of February in terms of rainfall, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and that website will show you that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall that we receive on the rain gauge from inches to millimeters. You know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we still have the leftover clouds associated with the frontal system, extending from the northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down to the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, eastern Cuba, Hispaniola, Jamaica, all the way down to eastern Honduras and portion of Nicaragua as we speak. And if we take a look at what's happening across the Doppler radar imagery, showing the Puerto Rico area as usual. Let's see what's taking place down there. Alright, so we can see some isolated shores to the south of the US Virgin Islands, to the south of Puerto Rico, to the west of Puerto Rico. Maybe some hit or miss isolated shores to the west of Montserrat, maybe to the northeast of Guadeloupe, to the east of Antigua and Barbuda. But loading these images from earlier today, we could see that rainfall coming in from the southeast, pushing towards the US Virgin Islands. Western Puerto Rico is definitely getting in on their fair share of rainfall at that time too. And if we take a look at the Barbados radar, not seeing much of anything across Barbados right now. But we can see a string of moisture from the west end to the west of Barbados, pushing towards the gap between St. Lucia and St. Vincent right there. Maybe one of the islands getting in on some rainfall as we speak, if not later on. You can also see the moisture to the east of Martinique, some of which looks like it's pushing westward, if not west-northwestward. We'll say it actually goes. Not seeing much of anything down here near Trinidad and Tobago at all. But if we take a look at the weather, we have deployed our images. We can see some isolated shores maybe to the east of Trinidad right there pushing westward. You can see some isolated shores across portion of Colombia. Not seeing much of anything anywhere else though. But regarding where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, we know the greens into the yellows represent anywhere from 0.2 of an inch of rainfall all the way up to 0.4 of an inch of rainfall. And the oranges into the reds represent anywhere from 0.75 of an inch of rainfall all the way up to 1 inch or more. And clearly, in the next 24 hours, the most rainfall is still going to be lashing portions of Colombia. We also see rainfall in store for Panama, section of Costa Rica, eastern Nicaragua, El Salvador, far eastern end of Honduras. We also see rainfall in store for Jamaica, eastern Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, sections of the northeastern Caribbean, maybe Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, sections of Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia getting some of the action too. Maybe some isolated shores in store for sections of Guyana. We'll see how it actually unfolds, and whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted. And we know that when both maps here from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.